Hi and welcome to another video from the Intelligent Auto channel. Today we have a 2012 Volkswagen Caddy. It has the 1.6 CAYD engine in it, and the customer complaint is as soon as he starts up the glow plug light keeps flashing. Asking the customer what's already been done to the vehicle. Apparently it broke down. The RAC came out to it, identified that it had a faulty injector, so he got a mate of his to fit an injector. It looks like the mate has fitted a second-hand injector, but apparently he also fitted a fuel filter and an air filter as well. The van then started up, but it's constantly had this flashing glow plug light. So, as ever, first of all, let's confirm the customer complaint. First of all, ignition on. As you can see, we've got the engine light on, the DPF lights on. He's been seeing the DPF lights been coming on as well. Start up. And there we go, flashing glow plug light. So next thing, let's plug a scan tool in and scan the vehicle for faults. So we've got a scan tool hooked up to it. Today I'm using the Launch Pro 5 Lite. I've had this tool a few weeks now. I'm going to be doing a product review on it shortly. I just want to try and use it on as many different vehicles as I can before I actually do the product review, just to give it its fairest chance. So from the home screen, we just go Intelligent Diagnosis, and it should automatically detect the VCI and also detect the vehicle. There we go, click Diagnosis, and we go for a health report on the vehicle, which should go through every control module on the vehicle and scan it for faults. So I'm going to go into the engine. Read the DTCs again. I know what you were thinking when you saw the DPF light. You were thinking this was going to be a video about a DPF fault. Just because you've got a DPF light on your dashboard does not mean you've got a DPF fault. This vehicle obviously just needs to do a regen. So, fuel system pressure too low. So let's verify that fault by looking at some data, and as you can see it looks plausible. I'm just going to zoom you in on that a bit, and I'm now going to start the van up. Let's see where the fuel pressure is. As you heard, the van starts without problem. Now if we look at the fuel pressure, kind of all over the shop. So it's stabilised. As you can see, it's dropping down. I'm going to see if I can change. No, I can't. Well, I can change the parameter. It should be round about 250,000 kPa, and as you can see it's dropping below 200,000 kPa, which is 200,000 kPa is 200 bar. It's dropping down to sort of 180 bar. So next thing we need to do is verify the plausibility of the rail pressure sensor, which is on the end of the fuel rail, and to do that I'm going to use a piece of equipment I've got, which is basically a pressure transducer that goes onto the fuel rail, and I can verify if this reading is correct. Right, what I've got here is I've got this pressure transducer here connected from the high pressure pump to the fuel rail. So basically I've taken out the vehicle's own high pressure line. Now this is a specialist bit of kit. Do not be trying to cobble something up at home using a compression tester or something. It will only end in tears. So this is the equipment that goes with it. So what I do is I select high pressure, high pressure diesel. It's going to allow me to measure up to 2000 bar. Click OK, and there we go. There's our gauge. I'm just going to sit that on there, I think. Just going to sit there. Yeah, it'll probably fall over once I start the engine up. Just get the wires out the way of the belt. And what I'll do is I'll zoom you in on that. Right, I've put the pressure tester display and the diagnostic tool alongside each other, so when I start the vehicle up we can compare the pressure that the vehicle's own pressure sensor is reporting back to the engine ECU against the actual fuel pressure. I'll now start the vehicle up. As you can see, the pressure test kit is reporting a pressure of, basically again wandering around, it's up to 250 bar there. It did drop down to 180 bar. If I look at the diagnostic tool, I'm seeing similar pressures here, so which would tell me that the plausibility of the pressure sensor on the fuel rail is good. Let's just give it a rev, see if we can see that pressure dropping. And again, the pressure's dropping to around about 200 bar. Seeing that's been reported on the diagnostic tool, which is too low. You see, on this system I would expect to be seeing, I believe, around about 250 to 275 bar at idle. So confirmed that the fault code that has been logged is actually due to actual low fuel pressure. So from here we'll start testing, but what I can do is I can believe the readings that I'm getting on the diagnostic tool because I've proved that the pressure sensor on the rail is plausible. As you can see, the longer the engine's run, it's been running about 5 or 10 minutes now, the fuel pressure is dropping down. As I say, it should be 250 to 275 bar at idle. So next step is to find out, have we got a leak on the high pressure system, or have we got a problem with the fuel supply. So bearing in mind the history of this vehicle, as I say, it's allegedly had an injector in it, which I can see number 2 here has got scrapyard paint on it, which is not ideal really, but it is what it is. And apparently it's had a fuel filter and an air filter. So I think the first thing I want to do is I'm going to check the fuel filter, because I don't know the quality of the fuel filter. If the fuel filter's got a restriction in it, it's going to have a negative effect on rail pressure. So I'm going to take the pipe off the fuel filter, between the fuel filter and the high pressure pump. I'm going to put a pressure sensor in line and we'll check to see where we're at there. So what I've done now is I've put a connection in line between the fuel filter and the fuel pump here, using the same pressure test kit, but this time using a pressure transducer that only measures between -1 and 3 bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a general manometer, and we're going to measure basically the pressure between the filter housing and the high pressure fuel pump to see if it looks okay. So I'll sit that up there. Can't see it. I'll sit that there. Right, before I start this, I just want to bleed some fuel through, but this is a good test also. Using the diagnostic tool, I'm going to actually run the auxiliary fuel pump in the tank, so we'll be able to see what kind of pressure we're seeing between the fuel pump and the fuel filter. Seeing 440 millibar. I would expect to see probably half a bar, but it's not that far away. So just run that for a bit, and what that'll do is that'll prime fuel through the pipe that I've installed where I've interrupted the fuel flow. Just stop that there now, and we'll go for a start up. There we go, we're running. Give it a rev. What we can see there is when we rev it, the pressure between the fuel filter and the fuel pump is dropping, and it shouldn't be. It should be staying at a static. Let it idle. Back at idle. See, I would expect to see a half a bar here. What I'm now going to do is I'm now going to put this pressure sensor between the fuel tank and the fuel filter and check the pressure there. Switch it off. Right, I've now connected the pressure sensor to the other side of the fuel filter, so it's connected between the fuel tank and the fuel filter. So we'll put the gauge in view. I'll just zoom in on that. There we go. And we'll start the van up. As you can see, we've got a similar reading there, 400 millibar. Just want to get somebody to rev it and see what happens with the pressure. So it was dropping the other side of the filter. And the pressure's dropping off again. So it would appear that we could have possibly have a problem with the in-tank pump here. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to connect up an external fuel pump to this system, direct to the high pressure pump, so I can set the pressure with my external fuel pump and then see if the real pressure stabilizes on the vehicle. Right, so what I've got now is I've got an external fuel supply coming in on these two pipes here. That's my feed, that's my return. And basically that's the fuel pipes from the fuel tank. I've just got them looped together so that the fuel is coming from the tank and straight back to the tank. So I'll now set the fuel pump away. I'll put the fuel pressure gauge back on the high pressure side of the fuel system, and we'll see if this real pressure stabilizes. So back on the high pressure transducer now. I'm going to set this fuel pump away. I've got it set on its minimum level, which is just under a bar. And we'll start the van up. As you can see, fuel pressure still isn't great on the fuel rail. It's getting there. It's getting there. Could have been just bare in the system. I'll rev it. Just going to let that run for 5 or 10 minutes. But it's been running a few minutes there now. Seems to have stabilised at around about 260 bar. It's still logging a fault, even at that. I'll put that there. At that pressure there, saying that the fuel pressure is too low. So what I've done is I've gone back into the data streams and I've got some more data streams up. I'll just zoom in on them a bit. What I've got here is the actual fuel pressure, which is 250, 260, which is mirroring what I'm seeing here. But I've got a high pressure control deviation as well at between 3 and 4 MPa. Now MPa is megapascals. Basically 1 MPa is 100 bar. So we can see the fuel rail pressure actual value here is at 25 MPa, so that's 250 bar, and I've got a deviation of between 3 and 4 bar, which would suggest that what the vehicle is wanting to see is somewhere in the region of 30 MPa, 300 bar, and it's only seeing 250, 260. So we verified that the problem is not the fuel feed side, it's not the fuel delivery system, because we've got that bypassed with an external fuel pump straight to the fuel pump. So the next thing to move on to is the high pressure side of the system, and look to see where we're getting pressure drops within the high pressure side. So the first and easiest test to do on this high pressure system is a test of the injectors for what's called back leak. If I've got excessive back leak on any one injector, it can cause the fuel rail pressure to drop. So I've got the spill return pipes disconnected from the injectors, and I've got these adapters with pipes going back to a set of bottles hanging on the bonnet of the vehicle there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start it up, and we're going to measure, we're going to compare the volume of back leak from each injector against each other. So here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom you in on the bottles. And as we can see, we've got one bottle filling straight up. I'm going to knock that off because it's going to overflow. And surprise, surprise, the bottle that's overflowing is number 2. And surprise, surprise, it's number 2, which is the injector with the scrapyard paint on. So there's the injectors there. I'm going to zoom you in on number 2, and if you can see orange paint on the injector, which would denote that it has come from a breaker's yard, because they put a paint mark on to identify their parts. A classic example of somebody trying to save money here by fitting a second-hand injector, and they've basically just caused themselves a whole world of pain. If this vehicle had come to me in the first instance with a bad injector, it would have gotten a new injector and the vehicle would have been back on the road. This guy runs his business from this van. He's basically had 2 weeks of no work because of a van that's been off the road and somebody who basically doesn't understand what they're doing trying to fix it. So I'm going to get an injector ordered up for this vehicle, and that will then cure the low fuel pressure fault. I'll take it out on the road, we'll get it to do a regen, and that will cure the DPF filter light on the dashboard. So once again, I don't want to blow my own trumpet here or anything like that, but you know, some people do trying to save money, getting their vehicles fixed. Basically you spend money in the wrong places. Bring it to somebody who you can trust is going to do the job properly, and then you know, you get your vehicle back fixed, it's on the road, and you've got less downtime, especially with vans. People are running businesses from them. It's costing you money when your van's off the road. So thanks for watching. If you've got any comments about this video, please get down in the comments boxes below. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. You'll be notified for new videos. As I say, I'm going to do a product review on this over the next couple of weeks. I'm just using it on different vehicles at the minute, trying to get my head around it, to see, to find its strengths and weaknesses, so I can give you a good honest review of it. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.